And last but not least, 10 years later, is everything still awesome? We'll find out with our retrospective review, or I should say retrospect review, on the Lego movie, right? This is actually the first time in this podcast's history that we'll be talking about this movie, right?
Correct.
Because we did talk about the Lego Batman movie, which came right after it, and that was one of the first films that we covered.
I saw this with you, Tracy,
Yes. Actually,
yeah.
Well, I know we saw the first one together, but we saw the second one together. We saw
no, not Lego Batman. No, not the second one. No.
Okay, right. But yeah, the first one we saw together, right? I remember that, right? But yeah, Lego Batman, I saw in a nutshell. It was just hilarity on top of hilarity on top of hilarity.
It was great.
But it was a little too much, though, like to the point that. Like I don't know, like it's kind of to its detriment though. Like it was just a lot of jokes just being thrown at me, boy. Like to the point that I felt like it sort of sidestepped story for sight gags and references and all that kind of stuff, right? Not saying that the story was terrible, but I felt like it could have been better. It could have been punched up more if it just sort of focused on it instead of just throwing all these gags at me, right? But I won't lie, shit had me crack it up, right? Just a lot, right? Lego Movie 2, the second part, really wanted to enjoy it, but I felt they sort of dropped the ball. The story was not as smart as the last one. But I knew, I saw what they were going for with it though, but it just unfortunately, it's just the direction it took. Just didn't work for me at all. And, it just didn't have the meta humor was still there. Like it was still in your face, right? But, it just didn't hit the landing as much as the first one did, right? So unfortunately, that was that. And I still have not seen the Lego Ninjago movie, just mainly because just because I'm not familiar with, Ninjago at all. I don't even know much about it, right? So it's that. But when it comes to, the actual Lego movie itself, right, which came out in 2014, I remember kind of going into this not knowing what to expect at all, right? It was the Lego movie, okay. But, at the time, this was around the time where, properties were getting in movies out of the blue. So, like, case in point, the Simpsons movie came out, like, years before. So, it's like, all right, well, is this going to be some kind of cash grab or something? And then, you see it and it's like, wow, like, it's exactly what you would expect it to be, but just the humor was just fast. It was in your face. It was frenetic, but there was a lot of, it was very clever as well too, right? And you have to thank, the writers and directors of it. That would be Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, right? Whose work I'm not totally familiar with, right? So, like, I would admit I've never seen Clone High. Never saw it. I know I should get into it, but I just never saw it, right? I know it's a big series, but I just never saw it. But I did see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Even though I saw that once, but I remember laughing my ass off of it. And what really make it work, though, is that it take this really absurdist premise, though, and somehow made it work, though. Like, it entertained the hell out of me. I cared about the characters and whatnot, and it just entertained me from start to end. But, like, I didn't know something about some scientists and food and meatballs could entertain me that much, right? There was 21 Jump Street, which I saw. I don't remember much about it, but it worked, right? It's something that I don't think anybody expected would have worked anyway, but somehow it does. But it's because, the whole meta aspect and winking on the camera, and like, yes, we know it's not like the original series, but that's a joke. But they somehow make it work though. But I did not see 22 Jump Street, just for two reasons. Mainly because I heard it wasn't as good as the first one, and I thought that 21 Jump Street just kind of did it, like, it kind of just made the point. So, like, why are we doing a sequel?
Yeah, no, 22 Jump Street, I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it have a couple of moments in it that are just so good. Like, listen, the part with the lighting in the police station, you'll know it when you see it. That is one of the funniest beats by far that Channing Tatum does. It's great. And then they did this, like, the ending, where they was going to tease a bunch of, like, future movies. I wish they actually did those, but, like, that gag in itself was pretty good. I don't know, 22 Jump Street did its thing. It wasn't so bad.
Yeah. So overall, that's just to round things up. I just like the idea that there are directors and writers, right? Because they are screenwriters, who just want to take material and sort of explore it and flip it on its heels and, just try new things with it, right? So, it kind of makes sense that they end up being involved in, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, film, right? And you see how big of a deal that was in terms of, just exploring the character of Spider-Man, and then also exploring the superhero genre as well too, right? So for me personally, that's the type of writing I want to get into, where you take a genre and you just explore it in like different ways now. And well, in the case of these two guys, don't be not being afraid to be weird, not being afraid to be ridiculous and silly, right? And for the most part, that is how, that is the sell. That's why the Lego movie worked for me, right? It was silly. It is incredibly ridiculous, right? But somehow it still works though, because it gives you exactly what the title is. It lives up to exactly what the premise is and all that kind of stuff. But it does all these little clever things in between though. But they're just not afraid to just throw some real goofy, childish, ridiculous shit, right? And I'll talk about whether those jokes work or not, right? But for me personally, I really enjoyed Lego Movie to the point that I ended up buying it on Blu-ray. That was one of my first, buys when it came to home media. And I'm not ashamed to own that. I never got around to buying Lego Movie 2 because I was kind of let down by it. But, in retrospect, I feel like if, as I said with my review of that, if it came in a combo pack with the first movie, I would easily buy that, right? But I bought the first one first, so I kind of don't really need to buy the second one, right? That's just me, right? But for what it was, the Lego Movie was great though. But, we'll talk about in this review here, if it still holds up. We really talk about that, right? But before we get to that, right, Ashton, your quick thoughts on the Lego Movie franchise. Like, has this worked for you or not?
I think that the Lego Movie was one of the most refreshing things to happen in a while for animation, based off of the comedy, right? And let's be honest, Batman from the Lego Movie is the most amount of fun you could possibly have just randomly watching anything, right?
Boy,
Will Arnett,
perfect casting, because we always know him for the kind of douchey assholey voice he had from since Arrested Development days, right? So just amp that up and make him as Batman, like, I'm brooding, I'm dark and brooding. Perfect.
I just think that Lego Movie was fun for adults and kids. It's one of those kind of movies, It touches everybody. Everybody can enjoy it, same speed. Obviously, you might enjoy the jokes on a different level, but still, really good movie. One of the best songs ever. You understand? Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's that movie. I started saying teamwork makes the dream work, because that was a phrase in the movie, right?
I think it was a variation of that. Yeah.
Something like that. But I know I used to say that shit all the time, and I used to just be catching Jones and just be talking that shippiness all the time now. And the Lego Movie was great. I remember it being very much fun. This Chris Pratt. I think he's funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? And honestly, that Lego...
As I mentioned, Chris Pratt, right? This came out in the same year as Guardians of the Galaxy Dread. Like, right after this movie dropped, Guardians dropped, though. So, 2014 was a big year for Mr. Pratt, right? All the time he thought he was just that goofy guy from Parks and Recreation. Now this man blowing up with 2 movies in a year, look at that.
You're funny you say that, because I was gonna say his Lego character struck me as the character from Parks and Rec as well. Now it was goofy like that.
Goofy,
but still, Lego Movie, man. Who don't like Lego? If you don't like Lego, you don't like your imagination. What I gotta tell you again? You know what I mean?
And as I say that, sorry to cut you there, right? I imagine a majority of people who saw that film, ourselves included, grew up on Lego. I used to get that shit for Christmas. I used to get cheap Chinese knockoffs, but it didn't matter. But I had a few Lego sets as well.
Building blocks, mega blocks.
Yeah, building blocks.
Any kind of blocks.
It was cool, man. Building planes and whatnot. And I love how this film touched on that. Just the joy of creation, with those Lego blocks, right? But
and trust me, the Lego culture is deep, bro. Deep. They have their own little subculture going on.
Yeah, I honestly did not know. I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, man. Being a master builder is an actual real job. It's not no joke thing. It's real things to get you paid. But yeah, Lego
Oh,
Movie. Back to
yeah.
Lego Movie. I love Lego Movie.
But yeah, but just quickly before we get to Tracy and then to Ricardo, and then we'll just run through the film itself. Any thoughts on the sequels or spin-offs like Lego Batman movie, Ninjago, or
I enjoyed Lego Batman. I think Lego 2, Lego Movie 2.
uh
That was did they have a part 2 for that?
They did, yeah. It's just not that
Right.
memorable. That's the problem.
Right. And yeah, just the Batman stuff, and that's a direct result of the Lego movie that I watched the Batman Lego stuff. Yeah. That was it for me. But I actually like the Batman, the Justice League stuff, but too much of it does get a little annoying. But the Lego movie kind of broke that up for me, to be honest.
Right. Okay, cool. Tracy, yeah, just quick thoughts on, first time seeing the Lego movie and, thoughts on the other films in the franchise.
Well, I can't remember the exact, where I was when I saw it. I don't think I saw it in theaters. But I do remember sitting down and watching it on one of the movie channels on DirecTV or something like that. And it was brilliant. It felt brilliant. It felt like it's one of those things that for me was akin to, and I make this very weird connection, and I'll tell you why. When Lilo and Stitch first came out, that was not something that I particularly cared that I really wanted to watch. And then after about a year or something, I sat down and watched Lilo and Stitch, and I was like, why did I wait so long? This is great. So flipping through the channels and seeing Lego Movie, because again, I didn't see it in cinemas, it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But for me, the greatest joke of Lego Movie is, I remember being in one of our old offices, and anytime something goes wrong, anytime a client does something absolutely daft, everybody would just be like, everything is awesome. There was this kind of weird kind of way to try and deal with the way how the clients was behaving stupidly. So I will forever be grateful to Lego Movie for everything is awesome. For me, though, there's just a couple random notes that I had scribbled down here. Lego Movie for me was just little clips and things that I remember or that I would have gone and seen. It's like Barbie before Barbie. It's the Free Guy before Free Guy.
Right, Free Guy, yes. Free Guy does all look to this movie too. You're right. Mm.
Yeah, and unlike some of the Marvel and that kind of these kind of houses, Lego Movie opened the door to both a lot more good stuff and also a lot more bad stuff. And I'm looking at Pixels particularly. Because that was 2014, and then Pixels was 2015.
No, but dude, you thought Pixels was bad, dude, dog. The emoji movie.
That was pretty bad.
Is like the antithesis. The antithesis of the Lego Movie, blatantly. What was that, That was so bad, boy.
I didn't even bother. And the idea of even getting Sir Patrick Stewart to play Poop, I didn't need it.
But that's why they do that.
No, these are things that somehow stay in the back, like a folder in the back of my brain. But all of this for me is okay, open the door in terms of what could or what should and should not necessarily be done coming after Lego Movie. So we have that to thank for it, as well as the floodgates of the Prattism, because like most people, he is Parks and Rec. And then, of course, you start seeing set pictures and teasers about this movie, about Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't know what it is, but okay.
I should mention, and then just a year after that was Jurassic World, Dread. So again, Pratt was on the rise, Dread. Just so you know.
The practification, the literal practification of this dude, to the point now where it's what's this happening? Some new animated things, I'm sure they're going to call Chris Pratt.
Dude, now he's going to be playing Garfield, Dread. Nobody asked for a Garfield movie, yeah? He's playing Garfield.
He is, I don't even know. But in terms of Lego itself, I felt was defining. Little things like the father-son relationship, and even for me, the idea of Lord Business and God, what's his name? Morgan Freeman's character Vitruvius. that kind of dude. It was very Vader, Star Wars, Obi-Wan. There's little things like that that I really appreciate Lego for. I have not seen Ninjago either. Just for the sake of it's something on my radar and I have never gotten to it. There's so much stuff that I haven't gotten to. Lego Batman is brilliant, and of course it gives us that whole song "Darkness No Parents,"
Yes.
which is also something random we sing inside the ad agencies. It was a time. It was a time, and I think that sums it up for me. Lego Movie was a time, but I feel like if I sat down and like ingested today, I would still have a great deal of fun.
And I guess you have nothing to say on the sequel, right? The second part.
I did. I saw it. Well, no. Let me rephrase that. I saw the trailers for it. It looked like it could be fun. I laughed at some of the Elizabeth Banks jokes that I saw, but I never sat down to the second part either. So that's 2 years. Ninjago and the second part.
All right. Well, I will say though, if you get a chance, check out "Catchy Song" that was from the movie. That's a highlight. That catchy song. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything.
Right.
It's not everything is awesome, but that seems sort of like EDM pop kind of vibe too. But in the context of that movie, it totally fits, right? But that's all I'll say. All right. And lastly, before I do a breakdown of the show itself, Ricardo. Yeah, well, I know we saw it together, but other than that, how you felt first time you saw the film and, thoughts on the sequels.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was just so, like, at the time, Lego, like, when you heard it on a Lego movie, I remember I was thinking it's just going to be the lazy, like, corporate cash grab concept. And I was like, in my head, I was like, how are they going to make this smart and make it work? And I couldn't think otherwise, because Lego up until that point was just doing the whole Lego version of X, Y, and Z. So Lego Star Wars and Lego Indiana Jones, and for the Xbox 360, like it's just that easy cash grab. Play to the kids. You take a thing, make it Lego, and then skew young in the marketing. And when this started, I was thinking, what are they gonna do, like, exactly to tell a story? Because look, it's an ad. Let's be clear about that. Lego's a big corporation.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do instead of just wasting our time with just basically a hour and a half infomercial, right? It's not gonna be an infomercial. What are they gonna do? And what they end up doing was this really clever metatextual narrative thing where they address Lego. They basically just do the quote unquote Matrix Star Wars hero's journey narrative. So they just do a big hero's journey stand up kind of joke on that. And then talk about Lego and the history of Lego itself because of the nature of Lego as a toy. And they get into the kind of, for lack of a better term, a kind of philosophy of the two Lego schools, right? And it goes, if you want to get all highfalutin and pretentious about it, it goes back deeper than that, right? It's Aristotelianism versus Talianism or whatever it is, right? But it does what it does. It says the two schools are Lego. The people who follow what's on the box and the people who do what the fuck they want. Right. I'm gonna tell you to guess which one I am. Right? It's that, and it's very clever in that way, in framing it like that. The concept of using glue, all of that aspect of it. It's just really smart stuff in terms of where they're going with it, the conceit of the storyline. And yeah, Lord and Miller really shut up in terms of like writing stardom and how to take the material and take it clever and carry it in a smart place. And yeah, I just end up being like, wow, this is like way fucking smarter than it should be though. That I was so impressed by it in terms of like what you're gonna do with the material. Like that's what you got with Barbie as well. Like coming on, after like this is what you take it. You make meta commentary about the history of the product itself. And again, it's still an ad, right? Let's be clear about that shit. But they make it work, and it's really, really smart, intelligent. Just writing in general, just as good text they put on screen, meta text, subtext, overtones, undertones, smart material, funny jokes. You got to make it work. Again, Batman was the highlight. Really, really smart stuff. Really funny. Again, I think Darkness No Parents came from this movie, or it came from the Lego Batman movie. I can't remember.
I think it came. I think it came from this movie because
it was this movie. Yeah. I remember that. Right.
Yeah, he sung it and they play in the end credits, but he also had it in Lego Batman movie. Of course.
Right, and yeah. So they just do commentary on Batman itself because I think this came out. This came out right 2 years after the Dark Knight material. So it had a bunch of Batman fans that was kind of overdoing it with the taking Batman serious thing. So it's time to conduct Batman fans are pegged and kind of frame Batman for what he really is, right? The ninja for you with daddy issues, right? But yeah, they really was really smart stuff. What they did to the story, but the story wasn't about the story. It's about the what Lego means to people. And just the history of Lego. At this point, Lego was close to 60 years old at this point, I think so. In terms of yes, there's multiple generations of people who are accustomed to Lego. Lego. Everybody had Lego toys. Everybody had a Lego set. Everybody had a box of Lego, whatever it is. And you just go with it. And yeah, really smart stuff. Lego Batman, great stuff. Didn't love it as much as other people because another animated Batman movie came out that year. That was I think it was his last one or the second to last movie involving Adam West, where they made an animated version, the 60s version.
All right, that one. And we mentioned it in the reviewer, but I just forgot the name of it right now.
It told a really similar story to Lego Batman, I think. And I felt that did that better, in my humble opinion. But yeah, that's why Lego Batman didn't do it for me. But if I saw Lego Batman alone, I'd have loved Lego Batman because of what it was trying to say and do in terms of the context of what it is to be Batman and that whole the whole lore of Batman and how it influences American pop culture and whatnot. Now, again, very smart metatextual stuff, commentary, talking about the thing, but also telling a good story at the same time and knowing what to do. And it really works. The second Lego movie, it doesn't work. I get what they were going for, but the problem is that because the first Lego movie did what it did, it was kind of hard to tell this kind of story as it is. If it had just tell that story alone without the metatextual stuff, the second movie would have probably worked a little better. But as it is, it didn't work. I get what they're going for. Don't work. That's about it. I never see Ninjago or whatever it is. So that's about me. But yeah, the first Lego movie is kind of brilliant. I kind of loved it.
Yeah. All right, so, as I normally do on, with retrospect reviews, I'm just going to do a breakdown of the show itself, just going to run through the film quickly. I know you guys could come in and mention stuff and, whatever, right? Yeah, so, at the very beginning of the film, we're introduced to the villain, Lord Business, a.k.a. President Business, founder of Octane Industries, voiced by, the man, the myth, Will Ferrell, right? Who I thought that was, just smart casting, by the way, because, at the time, in the 2000s, he was riding high off of, just these kind of offbeat comedies, you know what I mean? Like Old School and the other guys and stuff like that, right? He was big with that, right? So yeah, he attacks, we introduced the master builder, Vitruvius, right? And yeah, he attacks his sanctuary. Basically, he's seeking something called the Kraggle, which is the most powerful super weapon, right? Pretty much President Business now, he runs the entire city of, let me get the name quickly, of Bricksburg, right? Right, so pretty much he's just, in this real, I'll get to that in a bit, right? In this real 1984 Big Brother kind of style, which caught me by surprise when I watched it over. Yeah, he just running the entire place, telling everybody what to do, right? By the way, there's a great line where Vitruvius says, your robots, because yes, Master Builder, Lord Business has robots too, right? So he says, your robots are no match for a Master Builder, for I see everything. And then Lord Business just blasts the eyes oh, my eyes, right? I think that's how he becomes blind, right? So yeah, Lord Business takes the Kraggle and he does the whole evil laugh thing and then he heads out, right? And then Vitruvius tells Lord Business of this missing piece of resistance, right? That could magically disarm the Kraggle, right? So of course, Lord Business, he don't believe him and he just kick him down a pit, right? And it's funny to see because it's Legos, right?
You're right.
And just to touch on just the animation itself, right? Stellar in my opinion. I just love the fact that it plays on the whole, it's Legos moving in this world, right? So it's 3D animation, yes, but the way how the characters move and just the way how the shots are framed or whatnot, yeah, it's literally like playing with Legos, right? So that shot with Lord Business, who has he has this not mechanized legs, but the way how let me just use it now, mechanized legs. It's just him just kicking this little Lego thing down a pitness, so and just falls. Whee! You know what I mean? So yeah, it's something like that there. But that's how they play on the whole. It's Legos we are seeing moving about, and just from the movement to the look and all that, I think totally works, right? Anyway, so 8.5 years later now, we're introduced to Emmett Brickowski, right? Who is voiced by Chris Pratt, right? And it's so funny looking at it now, right? That, the opening title sequence to Barbie kind of pays tribute to this, right? Where it's basically...
It does that.
He's doing the same routine. It's like...
I make the joke. I call Barbie the lead-in. Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
No. Continue. I was just talking about
I made a joke. I call Barbie the lean-in Lego movie, no?
Yeah. So yeah, basically what we mean is that, like he just wakes up and he's just doing the same routine every day, and he's okay with it, right? And it makes sense because he's a toy. Like when you really think about it, he's a toy. So what does it matter if he does anything different or if he decides to? He's a toy at the end of the day, right? But I just kind of recapping this now. I really like the little bits of like world building that they do here, right? So like he has this guidebook, telling him how to start his day. He had to brush his teeth. You have to take a shower. You have to watch a show called Let Me See My Pants, right? Just because, right? I like this part where he says, where he has to follow, the eat breakfast with the ones you love step, right? And it's just him all alone. Like he have nobody. He just there like, yeah, whatever, I'm eating breakfast, right? So it's like that, right? So let me talk about the Oscar nominated song, Everything is Awesome, right? Which is the top song on the chart of Bricksburg for like X amount of weeks, right? For me, I love how they use it in the sequence where, you just see just how mechanized the city is, right? The way how the cars move and how robotic the citizens move, right? And, it's just very, very smart in terms of the meta, right? On the one hand, it's playing on the fact that, yes, they are toys, right? So, they're just sort of moving a certain part or the characters move a certain part. But when you think about it, when you add the whole 1984 kind of live kind of aspect to it now, it's like, it's kind of dark too, right? Yeah, everything is all automated now, the way how the characters move and whatnot, right? It's very subtle, right? But it actually works, right? And you really see how present business really much have a stranglehold on everything, right? But the beauty of the song though is that while like what is seen is darker, even though it's Legos and it's characters and the talking and they all goofy and shit, right? But is the song itself, and how glitzy, it's this glitzy kind of EDM bubblegum pop though, it fits perfectly, right? But yeah, when you really think about what's going on, it's some dark shit, yeah? Like it's really some dark shit, right? I mentioned They Live. They even have like some They Lives, well, not so much subliminal messages, right? But yeah, you'll see like posters from present business. You see like, I've got my eyes on you. It'll be that kind of stuff. They make a joke where Emmett, paying for overpriced coffee. Like he paid $37 for a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? So it's like all these little things there. But the idea is that he must be happy because he is in this world, right? But then the most important aspect... Sorry?
What was that bit? I'm trying to remember. There was that bit where it's like if you don't follow the rules, you will go to sleep permanently. Like
right,
in between
yes.
every
no, because while he was watching the show, right? While he was watching the My Pants, there's an ad. So his president business talk about, Taco Tuesday is coming soon, right? So look out for that and do everything we say, or we'll kill you, or you'll stop you when you sleep, kill you when you sleep or something like that. That you just see it quick, yeah. And Emmett is like, okay, give me my sleep, all right? And he just sort of moves on, right? And I like that, just closing on the song, right? Is just, by the way, they end off the scene very well, right? Where it's like, where, you're seeing Emmett and he's a builder, right? He's building a building, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because Lego, right? He's like, I love this song. I love this song too. I could sing this song for hours. And then you see 5 hours later and it's evening time and it's still singing the same song. You know what I mean? So it's that sort of like subversive take on, just the whole totalitarian aspect of this society though. Like I genuinely love though. Like it's very, very smart writing, right? So yeah, guys, I don't know if you have any thoughts to weigh in on this opening with the song and how it frames the world of Bricksburg, if y'all have anything to say.
Yeah, I thought it was clever. Very, again, starts the world quite well. It's very, Matrix, right? It starts the world of, the character trapped in the world and he's so trapped, blah, 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 blah. And he started, hero's journey shit. Lego.
Yeah, Tracy, anything, or Ashton, anything before I move on?
Yeah, if you don't like Lego movie, go ahead, Tracy.
No, go ahead, Ashton. When you through, I'll bump it in.
I was gonna say, if you don't like Lego movie, then your childhood was probably like sad. Yeah, that's what I had to say about that. Because it's sad childhood if you don't like it.
To worry about or something. Yes,
you didn't have a lot of Legos or something.
Or something like that.
No, I mean, like, I like how that whole the idea of like just trying to live your life or living his life in a very kind of blinkers, blinders on his eyes kind of way, because everything is just, this is great, this is what it is. And it really does kind of feel like, the more I think about it, it really does kind of feel like our modern existence, like our day-to-day millennial existence. But that's just me on it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. Right. So, after a long, hard day of work, Emmett, trying to get into this after work line, but everybody like kind of avoided him, right? He hears a whoosh, like he literally hears a whoosh, right? And he notices the character of Wildstyle, right? A master builder, right? Yeah, voiced by McGill Elizabeth Banks. Also, I love, there's like 2 moments where they say, oh, that's your name, Wildstyle. Is that a DJ name? Like, that's a nice joke. I like that.
Right.
Just her, just playing. Basically, she's the Trinity in all of this, right? She is the badass female warrior, or whatnot, right? But it works, right? And she's looking for this particular relic, right? And yeah, there's this moment where her hoodie comes off, and I like that it's Emmett watching it. It's like, I think he says, like, I'm about to report. And he says, you. I just hearing this whimsical music in the background. And in the back just going, you. Like, it's very hilarious, but I like how they set it up too, right? And then, well, long story short, he ends up chasing after her. He falls into this pit, and then, well, surprise, surprise, he finds the piece of resistance, right? The relic, it's kind of beckoning him to touch the piece, and he does so. And he just sees like a bunch of weird imagery, right? And some of which actually caught me by surprise when I first saw it, includes what could be human beings, though. Like, when I saw that for the first, I was like, oh, okay. And then he just passes out, right? And then he wakes up in this interrogation room, and then he meets, in my opinion, one of the best characters in this whole show, Bad Cop Tread. I'll never forget when I first saw the character. I hear the voice, like, oh shit, it's Liam Neeson though. Right after Taken came out and put him in the stratosphere, he was like the go-to, badass Irishman, he want to play tough guys, right? Don't mind he was in Taken 2, which came out before, and Taken 2 is horrible. I never forget, I spent money to watch that in cinema. It was terrible. Like, the editing for that, wow. And then 3 coming, I was like, wow, that was terrible, right? But anyway, right?
I kind of saw through all of those. Never again.
Yeah, never again. But the first one had, right? But yeah, just hearing him in this show, though, had me laughing, though. And what thing Bad Cop do, every time he does it, I am just cracking up. I'll never forget laughing at it when I first saw it in cinema, right? Is that when he gets mad, he just start kicking everything. Like, he will see a chair, and he'll just walk up into it, just kick it, blow, and you just kick it again, though. It's something about that, because, again, it's the Lego movements, though, but it's something about when he does that, though, had me cracking up, right? What I thought was really interesting, though, was the good cop persona, right? And it does the whole, if you twist the Lego head around, you see the good side, right?
That's a joke. And that's a great joke, eh?
It is.
That's a nice little reference to how Lego, because people used to do that with Legos.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Twist the head off. I used to do that too, right? What it kind of oddly reminds me of, though, if you're a Transformers nerd, right? If you remember Transformers, the movie, right? Remember the whole jury and executioner character?
The Quintessence, yeah.
The Quintessence, yeah. When I see that twisting of the head, I always remember.
There's an old Thunder the Barbarian. There's a villain in that's really similar. A guy who's like a thing. Look up that. Look up the opening. You'll see the guy. Right. Look up that. That's why I tell the guy from.
Oh, okay.
That same double face kind of thing, no?
Yeah. And right. Well, good thing you bring up that, right? And yeah, and the good cop literally does this kind of like he's still talking Irish, but he's just talking like more effeminate, like, oh, forgive him, nothing's wrong with him. And then Bad Cop is like, no, we should kill him, right? But it totally works, right? And then they learn, Bad Cop is working for President Business, and the idea is that he wants to get Emmett because, well, surprise, the piece is on the back of Emmett, like it's stuck to the back of Emmett, right? So yeah, that works, right? But yeah. Any thoughts on the character of Bad Cop, guys? Like, is this one of your favorite characters?
Yeah, no, funny bit. I remember just like it, again, because of the energy of how the animation is work, and I forget what they was doing at the time with that type of animation, but it was like it's stop motion, but I'm not sure it was a kind of computerized kind of thing to change the frame rate. And it just timed with the humor really, really well. But yeah, that was just really, really funny stuff. Right? Again, Liam Neeson hearing his voice is like, yeah, that cracking me up. It's good.
Yeah. Also, we learned too that basically that president business needs the peace, right? He needs the Kraggle. He needs the peace for the Kraggle, right? In order to end the world, right? And we learned that it will happen in 3 days, so that will be on Taco Tuesday, right? So Bad Cop kind of get some of President Business's goons to try to melt the piece from Emmett's back, right? And then out of the blue, Wild Style shows up and she just goes Trinity on these goons, right? And I won't lie though, one thing the show excels at though is the action sequences, right? It's fast, it's frenetic, it's over the top, it's ridiculous though, but it's how describe it? It's like Lego physics, like the way how they move, it's very quick and whatnot. Like the way how like somebody will get punched or punch someone, it has Lego logic to it, like Lego physics. That's the best way I could sum it up, right? What catches me by surprise too is that the lasers are Legos too, eh? You know what I mean? It's just the thought of that, like the friggin' the lasers, right? That are firing out of guns are Legos too, right? So Lego blocks there. Like it's very, very well thought out, right? I love the line when she says, "Come with me if you wanna not die." That's a nice line. See what they did there, right? But touching on the Matrix, right? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, guys, right? You can really see the Matrix influences on this film, right? So,
it's not just the Matrix. I think it's just the whole making, basically the Joseph Campbell stuff, right?
Right.
It's just a big stand-up. Just making fun.
What is by A Man of 1,000 Faces? It's
right, exactly. You're making fun of that in its own conceit, and they do some really like basic, simple versions of everything. All the plot devices, the MacGuffin, blah 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 blah. Every one of these things so on the nose. It's like, all right, that's a joke because it's a Lego story. It's Lego, and it's a kid. Basically, it's a kid's imagination manifested. And like, it works.
And it's from that same Joseph Campbell story that the Matrix draws inspiration.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Right, Star Wars, right, whatever. Yeah. Harry Potter, whatever. Right.
Tracy is gonna say.
No. I mean, that deep dive is like legit, but I mean, like for the rest of us, you look at her coming in and doing her thing and picking him up and basically moving along the way, and that is legitimately calls back to 1999 and Trinity being the one who is actually with the brains.
Yes.
Going to save the guy. So yeah, that was a heist for me. That was what I was going to say.
Also, I should mention too. I love the aspect of the Master Builder where they can look at various objects and you see numbers on them, so they can kind of see it to the computerized and know, like, I'm gonna take all these pieces, I'm gonna arrange them in a certain way. I'm gonna build an object. I'm gonna build a vehicle or whatnot. Like, just that logic, seeing it from their POV. I love that.
Yeah.
And how quick they build these things together, I thought was badass. Like, I love that, right? But yeah, as far as the Matrix influences those, so I mentioned, President Business and the whole systems of control thing, right? Bad Cop, almost kind of Agent Smith-like when you really think about it, right?
Right, exactly.
And the whole morphing into characters, like the agents could morph into humans or morph into each other. It's kind of like the whole bad cop, good cop kind of persona. That's how I see it. Right down to Wild Style, call it Emmett the Special, right? So, he's pretty much the one, right? He's Neo. And this whole prophecy built around him and all that kind of stuff. I would argue even... Sorry?
No, I'm just remembering, like, he didn't know who he was. Like, she was asking him certain things, and he was giving her, like, these kind of weird, normalish answers and that kind of stuff. And she was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So there was a whole...
What's your favorite song? Everything is awesome. It's like, oh no. Like, I love that. And it happens actually during this really kick-ass car chase sequence though. And I would make the argument they really borrow from Matrix Reloaded from that though, right? With the whole bike that, Wild Style creates and all that kind of stuff, and just how fast-paced it all is though, you know what I mean? And of course, Bad Cop chases after them, right? It's very Matrix inspired, at least in my opinion, right? I would say even the micromanager machines that present business have a kind of a squiddy kind of look, with the tentacles for arms. Like, I like that, right? So you can see it, right? There's a great line where Emmett says, I want to go home, and then he ended up driving into like an actual Lego house. It's like, that's not what I meant, you know what I mean? So it's just all these quick bits of humor that I absolutely love about this, right? And where the show excels for me though is just the side gags, how exaggerated it is, right? So as I mentioned before with Wild Style asking Emmett all these questions, and she's like, oh no, right? She ended up activating this portal, right? The secret portal, right? And then, the bike, which ends up she ended up framing into a copter now, goes through it, right? So when the portal is closed now, you just seeing police cars literally being thrown onto the wall, Hus, right? So that's one thing I love about this show. Like it's done in such a way like literally somebody is playing with Legos. So like when there's a car chase and you're seeing explosions, or like a cars are being run into each other, yeah, you see, like it's literally somebody off screen throwing cars at the wall, right? And then they just suddenly get engulfed in fire, right? I love that. That's genius, right? And I'll close this, right? Bad cops meltdown afterwards, though. I love that. Because the man just like pick up something and just sort of kick it and kick it and kick it. One of the policemen run off and he just kick it up in the air and it just hit the man. Like, I love that. I must have watched that scene over like 4 times. That shit was funny when I first saw it. It's still funny to this day, right? So, true Lego magic, although I more see it like the doors in Matrix Reloaded where, yeah, you open a door and it's like a different dimension, so to speak, right? Yeah, Emmett and Wildstyle end up in the Lego dimension or realm, I'll call it dimension, right? Of the Old West, right? Also points for having the text, the Old West, be like suspended in the air. So like there's a moment where the characters are in the town, right? And like in the distance, like further off the distance, you're still seeing that logo suspended in the air. Like I love that. It's just that meta writing. I love that, right? And I like that, it's although it's given in this info dump, right? This quick info dump. Yeah, there's different dimensions now, different worlds, different Lego worlds, right? Points for the Speed Racer one though. Yeah, Ricardo. Your show get shout out there. I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
They do it real quick though. Like, what? Wait, Speed Racer? Holy shit! I had to rewind. It's like, yep, it's Speed Racer. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's smart. It's just really smart meta commentary of, all right, yeah, it have all these worlds because, yeah, Lego just make everything a Lego version of something. That's the reference. Again, it's to sell toys, let's be clear about this, but it works.
Yeah.
Smarter than anything.
Exactly. So back to president business, right? So this man have like this ridiculously tall, like, building, right? This skyscraper, right? Like immense, right? So he brings in Bad Cop to lay out his plan, right? And I like the setup of all this, right? With the relic room. And one of the relics is this large band-aid and he calls it the Cloak of Band-Aid. Like when I hear that, I was like, all right. Yeah. I like that, right? But it gets better, Jay, because when like you're hearing about Craggle, right? And then when you see what the Craggle is, like, holy shit, boy, wow. So it's basically a used tube of crazy glue, Hus.
Right.
The words worn out say seeing Craggle, like you see Kragl and E. That was a brilliant reveal. I love that, right? So, but it gets better because you realize that the piece of resistance is actually Kappas. Round of applause. I love that. I love that. Right. And then we get this like incredibly dark scene, Hus, by Lego movie standards, right? Involving his, present business's demonstration of what he called the tacos, the TAKOS, right? So it's a machine designed to spray the crazy glue, right? So the idea is that he's gonna freeze, basically stick the citizens, right? Because he don't like the idea of them changing the world that he has built. So he wants to keep them in one spot now. So he, spray the crazy glue on them, right? So he tests them on Bad Cop's parents' dog, Markup and Parkup, right?
Yeah.
It's funnier, but it's real dark at the same time, Jen. Because how they talking, hey son, what's going on here? What's going on? And then, President Business is like, just move a little bit to the left. No, come on, Ma, like move to the left. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, you move to the left. Like, I like how it builds the tension, right? And then, it's Bad Cops now because, he just, he take it, he's seen his parents go through this, so he switched into the good cop scenario,
right.
Not working, right? But yeah, President Business kind of pretty much immobilized the legs first, and then he about to spray the rest of the bodies now, and I think Bad Cop stops him from doing that.
It's a total Roger Rabbit moment. Remember the Roger Rabbit with the shoe?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Very Roger.
Right,
Yeah.
and then business comes and says, your good side will always come in the winner. So the man come with this Q-tip and nail polish, and he give it names to her, and he scrubs off Good Cop's face, shred.
Yeah.
and it forces the bad cop now to stick with the bad persona, right? Like it's
And
darker,
listen, that
but
is
it's
so
so
that
funny
is
at
so
the same time.
like that is so like a thing because you could do that with Legos.
Yes.
That's why you are funny.
Heights.
Was that Tracy?
That is heights. No. I was just saying that is heights. That is
Yeah,
heights.
that
'Cause
was
I
in the
didn't
show.
even.
It's like really smart though.
Yeah. But again, it's a real dark scene there, but it's so funny and so smart at the same time. I love it, right? But back in the Old West dimension, right? So Emmett and Wildstyle head to the saloon because they're looking for Vitruvius, right? AKA the wizard, right? Points for the sort of a honky-tonk version, the piano version of Everything is Awesome, playing this.
Right.
And so funny that the person playing it is Vitruvius, right? And he tells Wildstyle to meet him upstairs in 10 seconds. I like that you see this old film reel title card, so it's like 10 seconds later. That was funny. And it's also made by Octane, Industries. So it's like, all right, I see you, right? So there's a moment now where Vitruvius uses Lego magic, that's what I'll call it, right? To try to unlock Emmett's. He trying to unlock the master builder potential that's in him, right? Because they keep telling him he's special, he is the ultimate master builder, right? So it's like that, right? And agree to disagree, but swear to God, Dre, the set piece that they end up in, right? Is this a Destiny real from the Matrix?
That's a joke. That's the joke.
Destiny real, right? Because is this
all right? So the term the Destiny real is an old term. It's an old Baudrillard term, but it's an even older term with Quine. And if you know who those people are, you shouldn't really matter. Don't waste your time learning that shit. But the point is, it's supposed to be that idea. That's the joke. That's why I kind of got when I was watching it, like, oh, they do the Baudrillard thing. That's funny too. That's why I thought it was. But yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah, because you see the T. Well, it and also it kind of reminds me of the loading room, and I think it's called the loading room, right, in the Matrix, right?
Not the loading room. The construct.
The construct, right, where it's just this blank white room, but there's a couch and there's a TV, right? So at least in Lego, once they imagine it, it will be a reality. So I think Emmett imagined the couch or imagined the TV or something like that, right? But yeah, swear to God, that was like, that's the real shit. I was like, what? Okay, right? But that was real smart, right? And Vitruvius and Wildstyle mentioned the man upstairs, right? And then Emmett mentioned, he may have seen this person in the weird dream that he have, right? So I thought that was really smart, right? So the wizard right, or Vitruvius comes with a plan, right? So the idea is that he's going to assemble all the master builders at this place called Cloud Cuckoo Land to stop President business, right? But then bad cop, and I think it's his sheriff. I think it's just this sheriff, bad guy looking guy, show up, right, to stop the heroes, right? And they flee, and then we get this really kick-ass chase sequence, right, where Emmett kind of is forced to learn how to be a master builder. I like how he does it, where he starts off where he take one of the wheels and he sticks it to his head, so he's using the head to kind of pivot the wheel. I thought that was really smart. Right? Yeah. And then, near the end of the sequence, our heroes are saved by none other than Batman, who is voiced by Will Arnett, right? And I don't know, like I can't remember for the life of me if he was in the trailers, because all I just knew was just Wildstyle and Vitruvius and Master Builder, right? And Lord and Master Builder and President Business, right? But for the life of me, I think it was a surprise seeing Batman in this though. Right? Yeah,
and that is a funny joke on its own right, because again, when you're playing as a child, you'll just put any bullshit into the thing. It's like, well, you have Godzilla fighting He-Man, like whoever, He-Man Dave, because he has the power, right? That bullshit. It's that, and they make it work in that. That makes total like sense as you're synthesizing child logic for a situation. Because again, when you do the final frame sequence, that's what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I love how he just dropping all these back puns and, Will Arnett again doing the voice though. So like, I'm Batman. Yeah, that's how you say it. I'm Batman, dark and brooding, man. And it was cool that he is a master builder as well too. But the surprise is that he is Wildstyle's boyfriend, because she mentioned, I got a boyfriend. No, well, she mentioned that in the Old West. Like she just basically tell Emmett, I have a boyfriend, I'm taken, so forget it, leave me alone, right? Just right on the edge, right? But yeah, I don't think anybody saw it coming that Batman was Wild Styles' boyfriend, though. That was funny, right? But I love how the scene ends, though, where they reference the 1989 Batman movie, right? Where the Bat plane now crashes through the
The
sun,
moon,
which
yeah.
is another portal. And you see the Batman logo. That was real funny, right? So yeah, any thoughts on, the introduction of, Lego Batman into this world?
No, yeah. Like it's really funny bits. It's just, again, funny stuff we talk about it, but it's shocking that this was 10 years ago. Though. It's that kind of stuff, though. But they make it work.
Yeah, they did, right? This particular portal takes our heroes to Middle Zealand, which I thought was pretty funny. And then it just goes up a rainbow, and then it goes into Cloud Cuckoo Land, right? Which is technically heaven in this movie. It's kind of heaven. That's what it is, right? And here is where I think all the master builders are, right? And they're just partying and having fun, right? We introduced to Princess Unikitty, who is voiced by Gail Alison Brie, who I love since, Community days. And she's pretty much given Emmett a tour of the place, right? Again, with the Matrix references, right? Agree to disagree. This is essentially Zion. It's Zion.
Right.
But
yeah.
Here's what I'll say, right? Again, agree to disagree, right? This is more of a family-friendly version of the rave scene from the Matrix Reloaded, where it's like, yes, we have these powers, and we have to fight and whatnot, and we get the speech, but we get later on. But yeah, here we could kind of hang out and have fun and party and not worry about anything, right? So yeah, it's all this like EDM music playing in the background and everybody like having fun and shit, but it's like, eventually a war is coming, right? We meet Metal Beard, who is voiced by Nick Offerman. I forgot that he was in that show, right? I thought that he was great in this as well too, right? To me, I kind of see him as, I could be wrong, sort of a transformer, because he is a Lego character, but he has this large mechanized transformer-esque kind of body, right? He kind of reminds me of Jetfire from Revenge of the Fallen, like that old transformer, but he have this European accent. Like I get Jetfire vibes from him as well, right? And just speaking of Cloud Cuckoo Land, it was cool like seeing all these different characters, right? So you see like Gandalf, you see President Lincoln, you see a bunch of like Justice League characters as well too. You see the Harlem Globetrotters, you see Shaq out of the blue, and it's voiced by Shaq. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So it's just all these different references, right? That was really cool, right? But like I say, similar to Matrix Reloaded, we get a rave scene. We get a big speech, right? But the speech comes after in this case, right? I like that, you take it as Vitruvius, right? Because, it's voiced by Morgan Freeman, right? So you think, all right, well, Morgan Freeman gonna do the speech, right? Because he is God, right? If you remember from Bruce Almighty, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta rally people, but he's like, well, he just basically the MC. He just bring in Emmett to talk, right? Because Emmett is the special, right? I like that Emmett kind of just don't know what to say, because like, you know what? Yeah, I'm a coward, and yeah, I don't even think I could pull this off, right? But it works, right? Because the idea is that he has to lead the army to stop President Business, right? But he was about to make a point. He said, eventually, like he said, wait, I get to my point, right? But as he about to make the point, hey, bad cop and businesses robots show up to invade Cloud Cuckoo Land, right? And we learn why, because he planted a tracking device on Emmett, right? There's a real funny moment where Batman tries to flee, right? So he says, to the Batmobile, and then the goons blow it up, right? And then Wonder Woman, who is voiced by Kobe Smulders, by the way, that was clever. Yeah, to the invisible jet. And I like that you don't even see the jet, and then they just blow it up still. I love that. That was so cool. Getting that they will do the whole Super Friends thing where you see the outline of the jet, but like, no, you don't even see the jet, and they still blow that shit up. I love it. It's hilarious, right? So yeah, with nowhere to go, Emmett quickly decides, he comes with the idea that everybody should go underwater, right? Batman, because he's a dick. Sorry, he is. Yeah, he's like, you know what? Yeah, we should go underwater. He's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And even Wild says like, babe, you come up with the best ideas, right? So wow, Batman's a real ass, right? But anyway, so he comes up with the idea of creating a bat submarine. I like that Vitruvius says, they could add dream catchers for when they all go to sleep, which is a reference to the movie Dreamcatcher, which I have famously avoided, because
it's pretty bad.
I always heard about how bad it was, right? But I like
it's pretty bad
reference. Yeah. note to self, I should really watch that bad movie roast that Double Toasted did of it. I know I'll really enjoy that, right? But whatever. Yeah, so our main heroes escape on the sub, and the other master builders are rounded up by the cops and the robots. And yeah, they pretty much destroy Cloud Cuckoo Lando, which is like, holy shit, wow, right? And in the process, well, the Bat submarine gets flooded out and it sort of blows up too, right? But our heroes make it out just in time, right? Because it's so funny, yeah, I like how they set it up to, yeah, inside the sub, Emmett creates a he creates a double, I think it's a double decker bed, right? Something like that, right? And everybody watches like, wow, that's like the stupidest idea I've ever seen. And yet that is where our characters hide when the submarine, eventually sinks, right? So that was really interesting, right? So Emmett, hatches a plan to sneak into Business's tower, right? And place the cap onto the Krager, right? And, it's that whole, it's that Ocean's 11 kind of shtick where they're showing you what will happen, but it's actually what happens, so they do that whole shtick as real elaborate. So, we have to sneak up in here, we have to do this, and we have to bypass this, and all that kind of stuff, right? But it involves building a spaceship, right? I love, where Emmett's mindset is, where it's like, well, we can't create our own, so we kind of have to make one that's similar to the ones that get inside, the whole building in the first place, right? So, yeah, they have to build a spaceship, but how do we build a spaceship, right? And there's this character, right, Benny, right, who's this 80s looking spaceman who's voiced by Charlie D, right? I forgot Charlie D was in this shit, right? And he is like obsessed over building spaceships, right? And he's like, right, I want to build it like this. But it's like, no, we have to do it in the way how spaceships that come into the building with supplies, it has to look like that, right? But the problem is that they need a hyperdrive, right? And again, with all these surprises, right? All these pop culture references, right? The friggin' Millennium Falcon shows up, right? With Han Solo, Chewie, C-3PO, who is voiced by Anthony Daniels, by the way, and Lando Calrissian, who is voiced by Billy D. Williams. So I was like, what? Okay. But just the presence of that in this movie blew me away, right? Because, yes, we know about the Lego Star Wars. I think the games came out before the movie came out, right? But you wouldn't think you would see it in a Warner Brothers movie, right? Like, seeing the Lord of the Rings characters, seeing Gandalf makes sense, right? Because New Line Cinema is with Warner Brothers, right?
Properties,
you would think that you would see a Fox property in a Warner film, right? I was like, wow, okay. I like that Lando, because he's a player, right? Yeah, he started flirting with Wild Style, though. And, she tell him that she take it, right? And then, Batman, because, again, he's just a dick. He decided to just run off with them because he just want to party with a bunch of strangers because he's Batman. I love that. And, it's a nice bit of character development, because what you really see is that, like, when you really think about it, especially with the film incarnations of Batman, yeah, he can never hold on a girl. He can never hold on a girl. He will always have a girlfriend, and something will happen, and they'll always split or separate, and you'll never see them again in other films, right? So, perfect example, look at Batman Forever, right? He was with Nicole Kidman, right? And then all of a sudden in Batman Robin, he's with somebody.
I never understood that glow up, but that glow down, but that's another story unto itself. Because who is this random model-esque?
Yeah, who's like all
people that he had high point, and then just boom. I'm very off topic.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so stupid, but at the same time, yeah, it just really shows how much he sucks as a boyfriend, right? And yeah, it's all that whole insecurity stuff about settling down, because even when you see him with Wild Stars, like, like, babe, like, come on, like, give him a little elbow room now. Like, that's how he plays himself, right? But then the film kind of subverts that same joke, though, right? Where Batman shows back like about a minute afterwards, right? And then he's saying how he didn't want to hang out with a bunch of dudes, but he did take the hyperdrive anyway, and it results in the Millennium Falcon, being swallowed. And I had to do a little research into this by an exogot, which is the sort of alien beast thing that was in the planet that swallowed it. Well, right. So it's from Empire Strikes Back, right? But how they set up in the movie where it swallows the Millennium Falcon, that was hilarious. I love that. That's so hilarious, right? So yeah, back to the whole ocean 11 plan, right? So, of course, it doesn't play out as expected, and our heroes are captured by President Business and his goons, right? There's this think tank where all the remaining master builders are, and I think they just there to kind of assist in creating shit, like coming up with ideas. I think that's what they're there for. I think so, if I'm not mistaken, right? But yeah, Business sends some robots to stop Vitruvius, right? And yeah, well, similar to Wild Style earlier on, Vitruvius just kicks out at the ass, right? And he just does it like about 30 seconds, right? Like just a quick fight scene, right? And then the man get decapitated us. And when I see that, I was like, what? Like, it just sort of happens on the blue, right? So yeah, President Business had a friggin' coin. It's like an actual coin. He throws it, right? Like a projectile, like 7-man head us.
So it was a coin, because in all honesty, it looked like an X-Acto blade that he had. So I was wondering about that.
Oh, no. Well, the X-Acto blade comes afterwards, right? But yeah, he had a coin, so he just threw it and cut the man out. I was like, what? But it's darker, but again, it's Lego, so it's funny, right? And because he's a wizard, the head is still alive and he has to say some last words to Emmett, right? But what catch we do, and this is where the film kind of does this, well, the big twist now, so to speak. Yeah, he tells him, well, he made up the prophecy. He made it up.
Right.
And I again, going back to Matrix, I feel like that is, well, of course, it's a hero's journey, right? But I feel it also goes back to, Matrix Reloaded, the whole idea with Morpheus really stressing on, Neo is the one, and Neo is the one who's supposed to, bring balance and do all this. And then, well, the Oracle tell him, no, like, he's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to do this. And, Morpheus is like, oh my God, like, this is not what I was led to believe, right? So I feel like that's what they were kind of poking fun at in a sense with it, right? Where you're thinking it's about this one thing, right? This is the purpose. This is the whole goal of everything. And then somebody tell you, well, no, that's not what it is, because it's all a lie. It's all, a whole construct in itself, right? So I love that, right? And before, well, Vitruvius tells him, he say, I'm going to tell you something very important. It's going to change the course of history. And before he does that, he dies in quotes, right? You see X's, like X's for eyes. I love that. That was really clever, right? So yeah, President Business traps the remaining heroes and he removes the piece from Emmett's back. I think he uses the X-Acto blade for that, right? I forget what he called it, right? But is the X-Acto some kind of, like some sort of like medieval made-up term that he uses for it, right? And then he throws it out the window though, and it just falls into like this abyss, right? And then, well, he just kind of look at Bad Cop and like he just tell his robots to kill him, right? I love the line that he says, right? It's generic as all hell, but it works, right? Where he says, "It's not personal, it's business, Lord business." I was like, all right, I like that. That's cheesy, but that's the point. Again, it's bad guy shit, right? That's clever, right? And then we get this genuinely Lamau moment, right? Where you see Ghost Vitruvius show up, Dread. And again, just the animation style of it, though, it literally looks like, a Lego piece is, like you see like a white sheet over it with eyes and whatnot. And it's literally dangling by a wire, right? And it's like, I'm a ghost, ooh. Like even Morgan does the ooh stuff. And just hearing Morgan go ooh is funny to me, right? But yeah, basically he says the reason why he made up the prophecy is that he wanted the person who will end up being the special, who will end up being appointed as the special, to believe so much that they are special that they end up doing extraordinary things, right? Again, is a whole subversion of the whole one aspect, the whole new thing for the Matrix, right? So like, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Ricardo, right? I know you know the Matrix better than we do. Yeah, Neo in the first film kind of had to believe that he was the one, though. Right. Everybody kept telling him, you are the one, and he didn't really believe it. But it's only when he, the whole scene when he building and, he do the whole bullet time thing, and then eventually dies, he kind of had to kind of come to terms like, yes, I am the one, so,
Yeah, it was, well, I think it was kind of the opposite. It was a kind of reverse psychology thing with, what do you call it? Where the Oracle, can't remember the Oracle told him his own.
Right, yeah. Tell him, yeah, sorry kid, you're not the one. Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so on and so on. Then when push come to shove, but she did tell him something about he had to make a big choice involving Morpheus. And that was the big point at that point where he had to like sort things out now. Where it was himself, not really the one thing. So the one thing come after when he realized, I could do this amazing shit that nobody else could do. However.
Exactly, but it's like he could do what everybody doing, but just in a way more heightened way, right? So yeah, in a way, he kind of had to believe he was that to even reach that level. It's weird, it's reverse psychology, but it works, right? I like how this show references, right? So yeah, anyway, so he's motivated now. Well, Emmett is motivated now to do what he had to do. He frees himself. He looses himself from this battery that he was strapped to. And I find it so funny that the battery was powering the device that was supposed to kill the heroes, because they had this countdown, this 100 Mississippi. I like how it says 99 Mississippi, 98 Mississippi, and so on. Again, just that meta humor, though, so quick, right? And yeah, when he kind of frees himself from the battery now, when he loses himself, it causes him to fall, and he falls down into this abyss. Again, we don't know what's happening there, right? And yeah, Wildstyle is motivated by Emmett's sacrifice, right? So she and everybody else, including Bad Cop, right? And I love that he just uses this random marker and he's scratching Good Cop, he just does this Good Cop face, and he just keeps that persona throughout, right? Yeah, so they go into a taping of Have You Seen My Pants, and basically hijack the show to send a message to everybody in the other dimensions, right? And it just touches on the whole idea of Lego, right? Whereas, you've pretty much been told not to create anything and not to be yourself. But look, Emmett made things that kind of didn't make any sense, like that whole double-decker bed thing, right? But, it was still a creative idea, and she kind of encouraged everybody to create things, right? And use those creations, or use basically businesses' creations, to fight back, right? So I like that, right? And then near the end, you realize that she just basically doing her own version of the president's speech in Independence Day, the whole Bill Pullman's thing. Today we celebrate our Independence Day, because she says today will, we no longer be known as Taco Tuesday, but Freedom Friday. We're still on a Tuesday. All right. I like that too. Very, very clever, right? And then we get, for me, one of the funniest moments of this entire show. This is where our heroes decide that they need to get to Bricksburg, right? To stop the Kraggles, right? Everybody's the whole tacos, and they just unleashing hell on all these different dimensions, right? So they need to get away to get to all these dimensions, right? And Benny now, excited as all hell, decides that he gotta build a spaceship, right? So he takes all the equipment for the whole TV set and he builds the spaceship, right? The man's so happy, right? And you feel how happy he is, right? But it's when the spaceship actually lifts off and goes by, the man just goes off track. He's like, spaceship! And it's just this montage of him going from different directions, going, spaceship! And no lie, when I was rewatching this, I mostly played that shit 5 times us. It is one of the funniest things I have seen in this whole show. Is Charlie Day just yelling, spaceship! And there's them just smashing through shit, blowing up shit. I don't know how they do that, boy, but again, it's just that goofy childishness that Phil and Christopher were.
Unfiltered fun.
Yeah, it's just, all right, we want to do this. It's dumb, but we don't care because of the Lego movie. Shut up and take it, right? So, yeah, this is a scene that some people might roll their eyes at and find this dumb, but I find that's one of the funniest bits in that whole show, Joe. I agree to disagree, right? And then now, this is where I want to get your input on this, right? Then we get an equally great moment, right? But for me, first time you see it, it's so shocking though, right? At least when I first saw it, right? Because I don't think anybody when they saw this movie saw this shit coming, right? So they cut back to Emmett Dread, and the man's falling into this abyss, right? The man head lands face first, right? Knocks out. He wakes up, Dread, and you realize the man is in the real world. He is this inanimate object, but you hear him talk now, but he can't move because he's in the real world, right? I swear, when I first saw that, my jaw dropped because I did not know that show was going to go there, and yet it went there, right? And this whole sequence just gets better, right? So you realize that it's a basement, right? And it's filled with all these Lego miniatures. So they're on shelves, they're on tables, right? So it's clearly a Lego a Lego owner, right? And then this boy comes in, right? Well, his name is Finn, right? And he's playing with a battleship, right? But it's actually the same spaceship that Benny, the character Benny, creates, right?
Yep.
And then he notices, the boy Emmett notices Emmett on the floor, right? And he picks him up and he says, "Hi, Emmett." It's like, oh shit, what going on here? What? You know what I mean?
You're right.
And then it just keeps going, right? An adult comes downstairs, right? Comes down the basement. And it's Will Ferrell, right? Who is clearly
Right.
president business, right? But then you learn he's actually the man upstairs, right? And I just feel like, again, watching this for the first time, I was like shocked. I was like, where are we going with this? What are we doing here, right? And swear to God, right? The conversation between the man upstairs, that's all we call him, and Finn is brilliant. Brilliant, right? Just the subtext in it, I love, right? So the dad is angry that his Finn, right, modified his carefully laid out like Lego city, right? So it's basically for home development, right? That's what it's for. That's what you do. That's your job, right? It's implied, but that's what it is, right? But his son just sees it as something that's meant to be played with, right? I love that he mentioned that, the Lego boxes say age 8 to 14, right? But the father's like, no, that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing, right? So again, just the subtext, right? The idea of, grown men, grown people playing with Legos, right? And treating it like if it's something sacred that it shouldn't be touched.
Right.
Like, no, like it's for kids. Primarily, like you could make the argument, it's a kid's toy, right? That's what it is, right?
Randomly, talking there, it reminds me of Joss. Joss said once, Joss Wheaton said that the key to enjoying things like miniatures and all that kind of stuff is you buy two. So you have one for your collection that is just going to be forever there and untouchable and whatever it is like that. And then you have the other one that you can use to play with so that it doesn't become the sort of religious, almost sacrosanct kind of thing that nobody can touch it, nobody can interact with it kind of problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because that's where the movie comes to its hilt, right? It's just basically the philosophy of how you should take this stuff, and you can apply this to a whole bunch of things, like people's attitudes about cartoons in the 80s, for example, and
He-Man.
Star Wars and all the bullshit that people having melting down and shitting the diaper over. Yeah, it's that. Like that's where the real subtext of the film comes together and really works now. It's again great commentary on Lego, but commentary overall. It's smart stuff.
But yeah, in other words, the dad himself hasn't fully grown out to play with Legos, right? But because he has a job, right, a 9 to 5 that involves, construction and building things, you kind of forget that Legos are essentially toys, right? And he's mad for some reason that his son sees them as essentially toys, right? Because he could build things out of them, but they're toys at the end of the day, right? So I like that, the man upstairs say, let's play a little game. It's called, let's put everything back the way you found it, right? So he can make things the way they're supposed to be, which is what the president business counterpart was doing throughout the film, right? And the scene gets even better, right? So in Bricksburg now, you realize that the vehicles the citizens were using to stop the micromanagers, because they're all over the place, right, were created by Finn, right?
Yeah.
And Finn, the man upstairs starts breaking them apart, and you see it cuts back to the Bricksburg, and you're just seeing all the vehicles disassembling, and it's almost like it's the end of it's all hope is lost, right? That kind of vibe, right? And yeah, what the man upstairs is doing is that he's sticking the pieces with crazy glue thread. And I don't know, maybe I'm not the biggest Lego expert, but you're not supposed to stick the damn pieces. The idea is that you're supposed to put them together and dismantle them, not stick them together.
But that's the idea, is that he want to. But that's the whole point now, is that you want to maintain it for status quo forever now.
Exactly. Yes.
Make sure it can change.
Right. The idea is that you can dismantle your creations and make new ones. You're not supposed to make them permanent, right? But I love how they frame it with the crazy glue, right? But yeah, Emmett, who is still in the real world, he have to force himself to fall off the table that the man upstairs put him on, right? Because he wanted to try to get the crazy glue off of his back, right? Because remember, the piece was stuck in it, so there was some residue, right? And it's a nice little piece of, it's not I don't think it is stop motion animation. I think that it is an actual Lego that they use, and they just sort of frame it in such a way that he sort of rolls over. That's what he does, right? So yeah, so Emmett is on the floor now. Finn notices him, and he gives him the piece of resistance, right? And then, he grabs what I think it looks like a cardboard tube, but on the side you see magic portal, right? And he throws him inside, and that sends Emmett back into the Lego world, so to speak, right? And yeah, he ends up returning to the whole world, to Bricksburg now. And now he's a master builder. He is the one now. He's the special now. And yeah, he's now going to save the day, right? I love that, just like with the other master builders, he could see, he could see through his POV now, he could see like, the different parts there. So he kind of builds this device and he's using it to stop the micromanagers, right? And even, Wild Style and Batman and even Princess Unikitty, help out, right? I love that Princess Unikitty, who's like real trying to compartmentalize her anger. She just kind of lets loose and she just goes ape shit and just starts destroying shit, right? So I love that. That was really cool, right? And then now Emmett finally confronts President Menzies, right? Who, he ends up hitting, Emmett's leg with the crazy glue, right? Then, Emmett says that he has a secret weapon, right? Which is called the power of the special, right? Which is just simply him telling Menzies that, he has to embrace the idea that the things that he made can be remade by other people into something extraordinary, into something new, right? So basically, Emmett wants President Business to embrace the idea of creativity, right? And not this idea that everything must remain the way that he made it, right? And the speech kind of segues beautifully to the man upstairs, and he's kind of watching the ships that Finn create, out of the pieces out of his model city. And, it's so well done, right? The beauty of the scene, though, is how Finn gives him the pretty much the premise of the story that's in his head, right? The story that we've been watching, right? And you see how the set pieces and the vehicles and you see the characters that we've been seeing in the film too, right? So when the man upstairs picks up the President Business toy, right? He kind of instantly realizes, this is me, right? I love that. Just so subtle, right? Like, this is me. And I get that. I'm the villain, and this is why, right? I love that, right? And he asks his son what he thinks Emmett should say to President Business, right? And Emmett responds, I wrote this down, you don't have to be the bad guy. You're the most talented, most interesting, and most extraordinary person in the universe. And you are capable of amazing things because you are the special. I love that because that's the same thing that Wild Style and Vitruvius was telling Emmett because they thought that he was the special, right? And it's a genuinely beautiful scene, though, and it ends with the man upstairs hugging his son and President Business hugging Emmett as well, too, right? So the man upstairs now, he caps the crazy gloom tube now, President Business. He puts the piece on the crackle and it causes the machine, the tacos to explode, right? And in the process, the micromanagers are destroyed as well, right? And as, you see Wild Style and Emmett, right? And they were setting this up early on, like, they could be an item, right? So they were about to hold hands now, and, it's this bit that Batman always interrupts, right? But you see, like, a nice bit of character development here, right? Because he says, Emmett is the hero you deserve. Like, I love that. Like, that, like, just as a bit, like, character growth, it works, right? And in the real world now, while the man upstairs, does some father-son bonding, he uses a Reddit, I think it's Unglue Mineral Spirit, I believe that's what it's called, right? To unstick the Lego blocks, right? And in the city now, President Business is using his version of that to unstick the citizens, right? Who are frozen, right? Good cop or bad cop is reunited with Park Cop and Bad Cop, without that. Everybody is free, right? And, everything is safe, right? And back in the real world now, the man upstairs tells Finn that, you're going to be bringing down Finn's little sister, right? Because, like, what? You having fun here with me, but it's time to bring a little sister down, right? And Finn is like, what? And then I like that this is how the film ends now. So how the sister manifests the Lego characters is like these weird kind of childlike aliens from the planet Duplon, right? And they're all we're here to destroy your world, right? And Emmett is like, oh man, let's cut to the closing title sequence. And everything is awesome because the movie itself is awesome, right? So before we get to final thoughts and rated, right? Your thoughts on just that whole reveal and, the whole cutting back and forth and the messages, from the real world into, the Lego world. Any thoughts on that moment?
Yeah, smart stuff. As I say, the meta commentary works, really, really smart stuff, as I say. And they work in terms of just the human story. Again, it's one of the reasons I like Orion and the Dark a lot, because it's kind of what they do there too as well. It's really smart stuff. Again, how to do the meta commentary and make it work. Like, love it.
I will say this though. Just kind of thinking back on this kind of film and moving forward to Barbie. it kind of also for me shows like Will in a right role and Will in a middling role.
Right.
Because like his Lord, from the time I found out that he was being cast as the head of Mattel, you immediately go to, okay, it's Lord Business.
Right.
But his way how he brought out Lord Business here in, and even the Man Upstairs here in the Lego movie, had more bite and had a more heart, as opposed to, whatever the head of Mattel was. Like, if I had to give anything.
As I said, that was one of my problems with it. I really felt that I didn't get what he was supposed to be about. So it was really not clear. And because he wasn't a central antagonist, unlike what they did with Ken and Barbie, it was kind of different. I don't know. That was still confusing too.
Yeah. All right. So just to get to final thoughts, right? It's a shame now, just speaking, just let you all know, Ashton had to step out, so unfortunately he's not here to share final thoughts. But earlier on he did say that he loved the film, right? So I guess we'll leave it at that, right? But yeah, my final thoughts on this though, it was a blast recapping this film though. It was a good excuse for me to pull out the old Blu-ray and play it. And it's just such a fun film, right? As far as just gripes, so just little minor nitpicks, though. A few of the jokes don't really land as much as all that. Like maybe they did back then, but they don't now. Just really because I guess it's just a little too silly, a little too ridiculous, or maybe they just didn't land as well as they should, right? But for the most part, a majority of the jokes do work, right? Whether they are ridiculous, whether they are silly, whether they are satirical, whether they are dark, right? But overall, it's just the meta writing that totally works. And I just applaud the bravery that Phil and Christopher had. It just letting their childish creativity fly with this, man. Just let's be silly, let's be over the top, let's just add goofy characters and goofy sound effects or whatnot, right? So I'll throw an example, right? So case in point, there's a flashback involving Metal Beard, right? And it's him and his crew going on a boat, right? You just see like this white shot of a boat, right? You just hear something like that, Trent. I remember cracking up at that when I first saw it, right? But it's something like that to just sit down and say, yes, we're gonna add this in a Hollywood movie, right? Somebody going, you know what I mean? Like, is amazing to me, right? But yeah, the writing is fast, it's furious, right? It's frenetic, it's in your face, it's ridiculous, and it's irresistible, though. And that's the charm of the whole show, right? But I think like animation-wise, it works as well too, right? Because I forgot to mention, it's not just the movements of the characters, but they do some great depth of feel in this, though. Like it really feels like a lived-in world, though. Like they do so much into making you believe that this world of Bricksburg and all these other worlds are real, in quotes, right? Are lifted, right? I love that, right? Voice acting is great across the board, right? Whether it's Chris Pratt, Elizabeth Banks, Morgan Freeman, Will Arnett is the MVP in this though, because he is and always will be Lego Batman to me. Yeah, he will go down as one of the most memorable Batman film incarnations ever, in my opinion. This was the show that kicked things off, right? But there's a surprising turn in the third act, though, that really blew me away, though. And seeing it with more mature eyes, though, I'm just amazed at how intelligent that moment was, right? Because again, I feel like it's just Phil and Chris knew that a lot of people were going to go into this thinking that, oh, this film is just to sell toys, right? But just the mere fact that no, we're going to delve into the philosophy of Lego and why Lego still matters, right? Why we still why games exist, right? Why Lego still is being sold, right? Online and whatnot, right? Yeah, it really was a bold risk though, and I felt for the most part it works, right? And it's just this irreverent humor that works short, right? Right down to the music, right down to the song. Everything is awesome, right? Which rightfully deserves its Oscar nomination, right? Props to Tegan and Sarah and Lonely Island for putting out such.
Right. They did music for this, right?
Yeah. Who did the score for this way? This was done by Mark Mothersbaugh.
Right. Mothersbaugh, yeah. He do a lot of
Devo, right?
Great
yeah, I could see the whole.
I know him for
influence in this. I love that.
Yeah, I know him mostly for like stuff for like what do you call it, by the Rugrats, I think.
Rugrats, yes. He
and then he did He did the soundtrack for one of the, oh gosh, what's the name of that? Steve Zissou. I want to say Life Aquatic.
The Life Aquatic. I didn't know that. Okay, wow.
I think so.
Yeah.
Ping Island. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, though, Warner took a gamble with this though, but it totally works, right? In closing, this is the best of the franchise in my opinion, with second place being the Lego Batman movie, and I guess third place will be Lego Movie 2. I still haven't seen Ninjago, right? But I guess I'll make the effort, right? But yeah, Lego Movie, surprisingly enough, still holds up to this day. It is still awesome. Everything is awesome when it comes to this Lego Movie still to this day, man. If you have not seen it, please check it out though. But don't be put off by the goofy, childish humor, right? It still works. And you can tell like they really learn a lot from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, right? Because it's that sort of rapid fire humor, that meta humor though. But I feel like they just stepped it up a great deal with this movie here, right? And yeah, we got a great film. I would say one of the best animated films of the 2010s, right? Out of that, right? So for me, rating-wise, I'm going to give this a decent 4.5 out of 5, man. This is absolutely worth checking out. This is absolutely worth recapping. It holds up 10 years since it came out. I'm curious to see how it will hold up 10 years afterwards. I guess we'll see. But yeah, for me, this really this really put me on to Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. This really was me like, wow, like I wanna do shit like this. Like I wanna take stories or write stories for films that nobody would see coming and be like, nah, this is gonna be real shit, but still make it, kind of give people what they want, but also give them stuff that they didn't expect to see, and they come out of it like, wow, this shit was amazing, right? And yeah, that is what I could say about this show. But nobody saw it coming. A lot of people like myself went into this like, all right, Lego Movie, why? Okay. But yeah, we came out of this like, wow, this shit was amazing. And yeah, 10 years afterwards, yes, it is still amazing and it is still awesome. Definitely worth checking out and recapping. So yeah, Tracy, your final thoughts and rating.
I have to go back and do a deep dive. Hearing you guys talk about it, I have to go back and do a deep dive. But just from memory and just little things that sort of made me feel, good about it, and the time that I was in, the time mentally that I was in when it came out, I would give it like a 4. When I go back and actually go and watch it again, I will either probably up my rating or bring down my rating. I think it'll probably stay as a 4. And I just go back to the one thing about being in that mental space of a Prativerse, where he was new and it was a new feeling, and it was just kind of like, okay, let me see what this is. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. All
right. And Ricardo, last thought. Well, I should say final thoughts and rating.
Yeah, Miller and Lord are excellent. They really, really showed themselves as great talents from this film, in my opinion. And yeah, much like how I think the first Avengers shaped the decade in terms of the blockbuster, this kind of shaped the decade in terms of animation, in my humble opinion. Like everything else kind of came from this. That whole playing with frame rate and playing with all of this extra stuff. To tell a story and fit it within the narrative or fit it within a commentary was absolutely brilliant stuff at the time, and it still holds today. 10 years later, it really, in my humble opinion, it really holds up. Still really funny, really engaging. I just remember all the gags and how it still works as a general conceit. I have very few problems with this as it is. Rating like 9 out of 10 is almost perfect for me.
Nice. Yeah, man. So yeah, can't wait to see how 10 years afterwards, if this show is still awesome. But yeah, we are happy to report that 10 years after it came out, it is still awesome. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out in a long while, or if you are late to the party, that's okay. That's okay if you haven't seen it. I strongly recommend watching or recapping the Lego Movie. It still holds up.